Hi, I'm Corey, and my life used to be pretty normal until I discovered that my mom was hiding under my bed every night. Yes, under my bed. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. But the truth broke me. It all started a few months ago. I had just turned 17, had a decent group of friends, and was dating Lana, the most popular girl in school. She was gorgeous, confident, and, honestly, a bit of a bully. But I didn't care, because for once, someone like her wanted someone like me. Mom, on the other hand, was acting weirder by the day. She'd always been overprotective, checking the locks 3 times before bed, calling me every hour if I was out late, and even waiting up for me until midnight. But lately, she'd started looking pale, tired, almost haunted. Dark circles under her eyes, jumpy at every sound. I once caught her staring out the window at 3 a.m., holding a baseball bat. When I asked, she just smiled weakly and said, "Just making sure you're safe, honey." I thought she was being paranoid, but soon, things got stranger. One night, I woke up to a sound under my bed, like breathing. I froze. My heart hammered in my chest. I leaned down slowly, grabbed my phone flashlight, and looked. Nothing, just shadows. But I could have sworn I heard movement. I told Mom the next morning, and she went completely pale. She hugged me tightly and said, "Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll make sure nothing ever happens to you." That was giving there. At the time, I thought it was just a comforting line. I didn't realize she meant it literally. Days passed. I started noticing weird things. Whenever I'd wake up in the middle of the night, I'd sometimes see the edge of my bedsheet move, like someone was underneath. One night, I decided to test it. I pretended to fall asleep early. Then, around 1 a.m., I quietly peeked under the bed, and my world stopped. There she was, my mom, lying still, clutching a kitchen knife, eyes wide open, staring toward the door. I almost screamed. I whispered, "Mom, what are you doing?" She gasped, banged her head against the bed frame, and crawled out trembling. "Corey, you weren't supposed to see this." My jaw dropped. "What are you doing under my bed?" She looked terrified, like she'd been caught committing a crime. "You wouldn't understand," she whispered. "Please, just go to sleep. It's for your own safety." Safety? From what? But she refused to tell me. She just hugged me tightly and begged me not to ask again. I didn't tell anyone, not even Lana, because seriously, who would believe me? My mom hides under my bed every night with a knife. Yeah, I'd be immune by lunchtime, but it got harder to ignore. Mom looked more exhausted every day, bloodshot eyes, shaking hands. She started missing work, barely ate, barely spoke. I felt bad, but also angry. Why was she being so weird? Then one stormy Friday night, things reached their peak. It was pouring rain, and Lana called me, panicking. Her car had broken down near my neighborhood, so I told her to come over and wait out the storm. She laughed. "You better make it worth my time, Corey." Yeah, you know what she meant. I cleaned my room, lit some candles, and tried to look romantic. We were watching a movie, sitting close on my bed. Then she leaned in. My heart was racing, and suddenly, thud, something moved under the bed. Lana froze. "What was that?" I laughed nervously. "Probably the house creaking." Then we heard it again, a whisper. "Corey, don't!" Lana screamed, jumped off the bed, and looked down. And there, under my bed, was my mom, her face half covered by hair, clutching that knife again. Lana shrieked, "What is wrong with your family?" She ran out of my room, crying and shouting that we were psycho freaks. The next day at school, it was over. Everyone knew. Someone had recorded Lana's live rant. "Corey's mom hides under his bed while we're together. He's a total weirdo." By lunch, I was the joke of the entire school. People made fake TikToks pretending to check under the bed for their moms. Lana ignored me completely, pretending I didn't exist. And Mom, she just sat quietly in the kitchen, eyes red, trembling hands around her coffee mug. When I got home, I snapped. "You ruined my life, Mom. Do you even realize what you've done?" She tried to speak. "Corey, please," but I wasn't listening. "Do you get some thrill out of embarrassing me? You're insane." I grabbed the cup of cold coffee sitting on the counter and threw it at the wall. It splashed onto her face. She gasped softly, eyes filling with tears. For a moment, she just stood there, shivering. Then, in the quietest voice, she said, "You want to know why, Corey? Why I hide under your bed every night?" Her voice cracked. "Because I lost my parents that way." I froze. She sank to the floor, clutching her chest like the weight of her memories was crushing her. "When I was little," she whispered, "my mom and dad were murdered in their sleep. A burglar broke in. I heard everything from under my bed. The footsteps, the screams, the silence." Tears streamed down her face. "I survived because I hid, but they didn't." I felt my stomach twist. I swore that night I'd never let my child go through what I did, ever. She looked at me, her eyes filled with pain. So when that news about the serial killer started, the one breaking into houses nearby, I couldn't sleep. I thought if I stayed close, if I listened from under your bed, I could stop it from happening again. She held up the knife with shaking hands. I wasn't trying to scare you, Corry. I was trying to protect you. I stood there in silence, every hateful word I'd thrown at her echoing in my head. She wasn't crazy. She was broken by something I never even knew about. I knelt down beside her. Mom, I'm sorry. She smiled weakly through her tears. You don't have to be. I just wanted you safe. That night, for the first time in months, she didn't hide under my bed. She sat next to me until I fell asleep. And I realized something. Sometimes, the things that seem crazy come from the deepest kind of love. A few days later, the police caught the serial killer. He had been targeting homes in our neighborhood, breaking in at night. The night they caught him, he was only 2 blocks away. If Mom hadn't been so alert all those nights, if she hadn't stayed awake listening for sounds, who knows what could have happened. Lana tried to talk to me again after that. She said she didn't mean to make me a laughingstock. But I realized I didn't need someone like her in my life. Because love isn't about how you look in front of others. It's about who stands beside you when no one else does. And that's exactly what Mom did, even when it made her look crazy. Even when it destroyed her peace. She protected me. Every single night. Now, when I go to sleep, I still sometimes feel like someone's watching over me. But this time, it doesn't scare me. Because I know it's her not under the bed anymore, but in my heart. And that's more protection than anything else in the world. Sometimes, the people who seem crazy are the ones who've loved and lost the most. Before judging them, try to understand why they are the way they are. And drop your thoughts, if my mom's actions were valid or not. And don't forget to check out some other weird stories on my Weird Story.